What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another video on my channel. This is F.O.P with Matt. Today's lesson, we are going to cover chords, the C major chord, the B note for both the left hand and the right hand, and the G7 chord. So there's a lot to get to today, and let's get started. A chord is comprised of 3 notes played together. Take a look at this diagram. This is an example of a C major chord. It is comprised of 3 notes stacked upon one another and all played together. Now, take a look at this piano demonstration. I'm going to use for my left hand the first, third, and fifth fingers to play the C, E, and G. Play it all together, and it creates the C major chord for the left hand. Now, for the right hand, I'm going to play with my first, third, and fifth finger to play the notes C, E, and G. Played together, it makes the C major chord for the right hand. Now let's take a look at the B note. Take a look at this piano demonstration. As we discussed way towards the beginning of these video lessons, lesson 2, we talked about the B note, and its placement is to the farthest right after a group of 3 black keys. Now, to play the B note, let's take the left hand for example. We are going to use the 5th finger. So when you play the C and when you play the B, they're both going to be played by the 5th finger. For your right hand, the B is going to be used by your first finger. So when you play the C and then the B, they're both going to be played by the first finger. Now let's take a look at these 2 different types of chords. This chord on the left, we've already discussed. This is a C major chord comprised of the notes C, E, and G. This chord to the right is comprised of the notes B, F, and G. And this is what we call a G7 chord. How you would play this on the keyboard, take a look. Let's start with our left hand. We're going to use our 5th finger to play B, the 2nd finger to play F, and the 5th finger to play G. And then play those notes together. They create what is called the G7th chord. Now let's take a look at the right hand. We're going to use our first finger, or the thumb, to play the note B, the 4th finger to play the note F, and the 5th finger to play the note G. Play them together, they create the G7th chord for the right hand. Now let's take a look at this practice exercise, which combines everything we've talked about with chords. Before we begin playing this practice exercise, I do want to notate a few things. First, notice that the bass clef is comprised of chords throughout this whole piece. We've talked about 2 chords in this lesson, which is the C major chord and the G7 chord. Notice that the first 2 measures on the first line are C major chords, and it's comprised of the notes C, E, and G. When you play these chords, you're going to use your 1st finger, 3rd finger, and 5th finger. Then take a look at the 3rd measure on the first line. This is the G7th chord, and as we discussed, it's comprised of the notes B, F, and G. And you're going to use your 1st finger, 2nd finger, and 5th finger for this chord. Now, take a look at the 2nd line, 3rd measure. Here's the B note that we talked about earlier in this lesson. And when you play this note, you're going to use your 1st finger. Now we are ready to play this practice exercise. We're going to play 2 times, first time while counting, and the 2nd time, see if you can do it without counting. Let's begin. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, Now, see if you can do it without counting. Well, folks, that wraps up our lesson on chords, the B note, and the two types of chords, the C major chord and the G7 chord. Hope you all like this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Hit the like button and please feel free to leave a comment below. And until then, I'll see you all on our next lesson.